Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning in and for joining the Controversy 7. Now, it's been about a week since I last was here on YouTube, and it's for good reason. Because on August 25th, Saturday of last week, my niece passed away. She was hit by a vehicle. She was walking on the road. She got hit, and she is now asleep in the grave. Well, she's not yet buried, but there's coming a time I will yet be gone in the next few days for a while, and then I may come back after that. And the next time I come back, I will hopefully try to be more consistent and trying to maintain. I was trying to be more consistent, and obviously when events like these happen, it causes an offset, and it sets people back. And in this case, this is what it has done for me. Nonetheless, I'm only here just because I figured I should share this prophetic insight with all of you, because this is definitely, you need to be prepared. Jesus Christ is coming, ladies and gentlemen. You see, ladies and gentlemen, most people equate knowing the truth or being a truther or exposing the Illuminati or, exposing this and knowing things, knowing the truth and being awake, they equate that to salvation. That is false. That is false. You do not have salvation by simply knowing, by simply exposing the Illuminati, by simply talking about satanic rituals all the time and exposing it to people so that people are aware, exposing symbolism. All of that is baloney if you do not have Jesus Christ. If you do not have Yeshua in your heart, you are lost. Before I get too carried away with all of that, let's focus now on what I'm trying to share with you. Headline reads the following: Trump warns evangelicals of quote-unquote violence if GOP loses in the midterms. Now, before we read this, just so that you are aware of what exactly I'm about to read for you, this basically was a meeting that took place within the White House, and Donald Trump basically had the evangelicals, all the pastors, the ministers, invited there, and they were having a meeting. And this again it's a meeting between the state and the churches. In other words, it's a joint meeting between church and state.
This November 6th election is very much a referendum on not only me, it's a referendum on your religion. It's a referendum on free speech and the First Amendment. It's a referendum on so much. Trump told the assemblage of pastors and other Christian leaders gathered in the state dining room, according to a recording from people in the room. It's not a question of like or dislike. It's a question that they will overturn everything that we've done, and they will do it quickly and violently. And violently. There is violence. When you look at Antifa, these are violent people, Trump said, describing what would happen should his voters fail to cast ballots. And he goes on to say, you have tremendous power. You were saying in this room, you have people who preach to almost 200 million people, depending on which Sunday we're talking about.
Before we even go any further, let's quickly just see what's going on here. Trump definitely, what has he done? He has opened the doors and he has brought the church into the White House. The church leaders are going in there, they're having a joint meeting. And now he is talking to them. Basically, he wants the church leaders to now rally their congregation to vote for him without the fear of losing their tax exemptions. Because why? He has removed the Johnson Amendment, which allows the churches now to freely preach and talk about their political views without having any type of backlash from the government. Trump has kept his promise, in which he has said, if you elect me or put me in power, I will give you your power back. I will give you your voice back, should I say. Now, it is very interesting when you think of the promises that were made by Trump, and also even that was clarified by Mike Pence when they both said if the churches elect Donald Trump, he will give the churches their power back or their voices back. Not only that, but he went actually to say whatever the church asks of Trump, he will do for them. Very interesting statement that was made by Mike Pence, because that actually brings to memory some event that happened in the Bible. That's right. It involves John the Baptist, King Herod, Herodias, and Herodias' daughter. These four beings. Now, what exactly happened with these? Well, if you remember correctly, when we go to look at the story of John the Baptist was a holy and upright and righteous man who preached a lot of things, but the main thing that got to the king was the fact that John the Baptist exposed them for having unlawful relationship. Herodias was an adulterous woman who had been sleeping with King Herod. Now, because John the Baptist exposed them, John the Baptist ultimately was arrested. Now, there came a time in which it was King Herod's birthday. Listen to the following words, because there's a lot to learn from it. And it has to do with the union of church and state. Pay close attention.
And when a convenient day was come, that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lords, high captains, and chief estates of Galilee. And when the daughter of the said Herodias came in and danced and pleased Herod and them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, Ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it thee. And he sware unto her, Whatsoever thou shalt ask of me, I will give it thee, unto the half of my kingdom. And she went forth and said unto her mother, What shall I ask? And she said, The head of John the Baptist. And she came in straightway with haste unto the king, and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in a charger the head of John the Baptist.
If you look at the reason as to why John the Baptist was arrested, it was because of Herodias. Herodias was the main reason for John the Baptist's arrest. Now, it was for her sake according to scripture. Why? It's because John the Baptist was exposing the unlawful relationship between Herodias and King Herod. The two were intermingled. King Herod was an adulterer himself, and Herodias was an adulterer as well. The two of them were in an unlawful relationship. So far you got it? Good. Now, on the birthday, as we have just read right now, on King Herod's birthday, someone danced and made King Herod pleased. That's right, it was Herodias' daughter. As she danced, she pleased the king and said, Because you have pleased me, ask. And whatever you ask, I will give you up to half of my kingdom. That was the promise made to Herodias' daughter. And what did she do? She directly went to her mother and asked, Mother, what should I ask? What should I demand of the king? And Herodias told her daughter, Demand for the head of John the Baptist. And what then happened? The king, because he made a promise, he had to fulfill that promise to keep the majority of his cabinet members happy. Now the question that you may be asking me is, what does King Herod, John the Baptist, Herodias, and Herodias' daughter have to do with 2018? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has everything to do with it. Because if you understand that in the Bible, a woman is symbolic of a church, you know very well that in the book of Revelation, there are two types of women. Number one, the first woman is pure. She is virgin. She is very clean. Yet, while the second woman, she is described of as being a harlot. In other words, a whore. She has slept with the kings or the rulers of the earth. A woman that represents a church which is described as a whore is usually a woman, or it's usually a church that is intermingled with the state. Every time the church intermingles with the state, something bad comes out of it. Persecution comes. That's why the whore of Babylon, Mystery Babylon in Revelation 17, she is described as being drunk with the blood of the saints. Herodias, she was drunk with the blood of a saint. She told her daughter to demand King Herod, the head of John the Baptist, on a platter. Let that sink in. If we say that a church represents, if we say that a woman represents a church, now if we look at today, did anybody dance to impress a certain ruler? Who danced? The church. The church danced in 2016. Did you know that? Maybe you didn't. Let this be an eye-opener for you. The church danced to impress President Donald J. Trump. Can you see King Herod and can you see Herodias' daughter talking? Now the question is, who is Herodias? Oh, there's only one woman that can fit that description. That is Mystery Babylon itself. Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, is none other than the papacy, the Roman Catholic Church. That's the mother church. Mystery Babylon is the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth for a reason. If she is the mother of harlots, that means all of her daughters are harlots. And because they are classified as harlots, that means that her daughters also would find a way to somehow intermingle themselves in an unlawful relationship with the rulers and kings of the earth. If the daughters represent churches, that means that it is apostate Protestantism or apostate Protestant America which intermingles itself with the state. As soon as they intermingle themselves with the state, they become corrupt, they become defiled, they become harlots, they become Herodias' own daughter. Can you see what's going on? And anyone who speaks against Herodias will be persecuted by the state. Anyone who speaks against the Roman Catholic Church soon shall be persecuted. Now take a good look at the images which I'm showing you. Take a look and tell me what you think. You see, these images which you're looking at, these images, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that speaks for itself. So what you are seeing is a praying president. He's praying with the evangelical leaders. He's praying with the same people in whom he has just spoken to about go and rally their congregations to support him, because he has done away with the Johnson Amendment, allowing the First Amendment rights now to be practiced by pastors and ministers, and that they can freely talk of politics. in their churches. So when you think about these things, ladies and gentlemen, they all sound good. All of this sounds good. But history has recorded that every time church and state comes together, there's bound to be a time in which a certain religious holiday shall be implemented by the state. And when that religious holiday is implemented, and when I say holiday, I'm not talking actually, I think that's actually the worst term to even term it. Not a religious holiday, but a religious day. When a religious day is enacted by the state, it becomes law, it becomes official, you are forced to go along with it. We're one step closer to what is known as the National Sunday Law. The question is, are you looking in the right direction, or are you looking in a different direction? Because the mark of the beast is knocking right at your door. Now is the time for us to be prepared and to get ready for the soon return of Jesus Christ. Time is too short for us to linger around and to waste. Now is the time to focus on our relationship with Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot that can be said about this subject, but because I'm trying to keep this video short, I'm going to have to end the video here, and I'm going to have to continue these videos on future uploads. There's a lot more information coming across your way. If this is your first time tuning in, be sure to subscribe. This is the Controversy 7. Keep on the lookout, because definitely I will be putting out some more information. Subscribe now and stay informed. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to hold you off. Thank you for tuning in and for joining me. You take good care of yourselves. You stay safe, and I will see you guys next time.